want to do is try to have a conversation with this woman and come up to some type of agreement. That's the first thing I would encourage any man to do. Have a conversation. Now, if it's not going to go that way and she's straight up and down, don't want to try to do that, now I'm going to have to get legal representation and on about that. Now, we all know, I know in my state, child support's different from visitation. Totally different. So if I was that man, I'm trying to get full custody, not 50%. I'm trying to get full custody. That's what I'm doing. And I'm going to fight it to the end. But I'm not going to just give up on my kids. I'll be goddamn. That's the last thing you would want to do.
I'll say it's a difference. I would say it's a difference between.
Hold on, Sweeney.
Oh, go ahead. My bad.
When you make them type of statements, and you have a type of feeling, do you realize what you're doing to your child, especially your son? If you have a son, you realize first of all, the mother's going to sit there and use that as a weapon. See, he didn't want your ass. He don't even want to fight for you. And so now, guess what? He's more than likely to believe that because you're not in there trying to come over and visit, even try to maybe meet him at the school and say, hey, it's not like what your mother's saying. No, there's no way I would encourage any man to start fighting. I'll be goddamn. Get a part-time job if you have to pay that goddamn lawyer bill to get your kids. The hell with that heifer.
I wasn't saying throw a kid away if you fighting the mother. I said that when the kids start to fight against you, they 16, 17, they saying F you, F them. I ain't saying don't fight for your kid when you
what?
I'm talking about when you're talking about a kid that's openly disrespecting you along with the other parent, and we sit here and we try to live with that and try to eat that. That's the type of situation I'm saying. Don't fight, don't eat that. You don't deserve that.
Well, why did you say
I think what's really important is avoiding this.
What happened with you and your son that he's to that point of F my daddy?
We know a number of things can happen that can occur. The parent, like oftentimes we see situations where the mother can turn the son against or turn the daughter against their father. And a lot of times there's no repairing it no matter how much you try to talk to them. You know what I mean? No matter, then you become a disciplinary or you become the one that's too harsh or the one that's doing too much. And the kid don't want to be around you no more because in the state of Indiana, all it takes, they only got to be 13 years old before they can decide whether they never want to come stay with you anymore or come visit you. It only takes at 13, they have all the voice in the world to determine who they want to be with, who they don't want to be with. And that's the type of situations I'm talking about where you find yourself fighting the kid and the mother and not just the mom, because obviously you fighting the mom, you got to do what you got to do. But if you fighting that kid and your mama and you sitting over there, I don't condone no father taking disrespect when they shouldn't have to. Especially when there's no state on your side to fight against the disrespect. There is no government on your side to fight against the disrespect. The mother ain't helping you fight against the disrespect. Nobody's on your side. It's you versus everybody over there. And you're supposed to sit there and lose your head and lose your mind trying to fight for something. And that's what I mean when I said the people who get the most results are the ones that say, I'll make another one. Because when the reality is when you start telling them the truth, when you start telling them the truth and say, well, you know what? Look, you don't want to be with me? Fine. Maybe one day we can have a better relationship, but I'm not about to sit here and deal with this shit.
But Sweeney, when you're an active father, I can't really see that happening, dog. If you're an active father, you, regardless of what's going on, you still making sure you making your visitations. You're doing this, you're doing that. Damn.
I think I get what Sweeney's saying though, man, because part of leadership is also knowing when to cut your losses. I mean, as much as we wanna, what he's saying. Hold on. Let me finish. As much as we don't like the implications of what he's saying, let's keep it real, right? We always talk about men not being emotional and being good leaders, and sometimes being a good leader is putting your emotions to the side and realizing when a situation has failed and when it's time to walk away. So I think if that's what Sweeney's talking about, a lot of men are manipulated by their emotions. A woman knows that you don't want to walk away from the situation, so she'll use that to put you in a situation that's dangerous. So I do think that it does take a certain amount of strength to be like, you know what? I'm going to take this weakness and I'm gonna wrap it up and toss it. You're not using this against me. But I think more importantly, what it's really about is making sure that these circumstances don't happen to begin with. And we were talking about prenups, and I don't think prenups could solve that. So I want to introduce this idea of and see how y'all feel about this. Like, how do y'all feel about the idea of a preconceptual agreement? Because I find that a lot of people aren't getting married. A lot of people are
I
just
like
having
that.
a kid, and then they end up in a situation where they're stuck with this kid. They're stuck in a situation. But if you have a ironclad something written out saying what we will do in the case of conception, then you can completely weed out all of these problems.
I don't know
You
about.
can't do it legally. You can't do it. You can't even include children in your prenup. There's no courts that will acknowledge anything. The kid is the most important thing, period, for all 50 states. So what you're saying has been thought about a lot of times and has been discussed. You know, what if we, you know, what when you before you go out there spreading your seed, I let her know we had an agreement. We wrote down some shit and we said that this is what's gonna happen. And then after she got pregnant, she changed her mind. Court's like, so what? I don't care about that paperwork.
Yeah.
Baby's
I
You
here.
will
can't
say this: the best.
legally file any type of paperwork, and on top of that, and
Nah.
even if it's not legal, I mean, at the end of the day, we're all men here. Like, that's something that could be lobbied for. Like, that's something we can talk about, formulate, and try to get that enacted. You get what I'm saying? Like, the more we talk about it, the more it becomes an idea. We can write senators. We can do things to kind of make laws happen. That's how this country works, right? So if this is something that's a viable idea that can work, I don't see why men altogether can't rally behind a cause, talk to our representatives, and make it happen.
I will
But
say.
I
I
think
was.
the only
I mean, that's because of the
I think the only
gynocracy.
paperwork that's recognized through the courts like that is when you're a sperm donor. That's the only thing that's like recognized that you don't
I
have
will say
anything to
this.
do with.
Surrogacy is a different
Yeah,
topic.
yeah.
Yeah, I
That's
get
the
you.
only time that you're like totally hands off and you don't have any claim to the child and you don't have any type of responsibility to the child.
I will say
But
this
that's
though:
it.
if you really want something that I learned, I can't remember what other male panel I was on. One thing that I did learn is that if y'all aren't married, well, if y'all are married, but when y'all have a child before there's any custody agreement, you have just as much right to that child as she does. And one thing somebody did tell me, they was like, oftentimes when men and women break up, the man wind up leaving the house, or he wind up going off somewhere, or he'll let the woman leave and take the kid with him. One thing I learned, they said, in the event that you break up with your woman, do not let that child leave your house, or do not leave that child behind. If anything, take them with you and let the court sort it out later. Because
but Sweeney, the thing about it, you got to establish custody if you're not married.
Yes, you do after the fact, but before there's any type of custody agreement, you have just as much right to take that kid as she does.
Well, also you got to establish paternity.
Not in California.
It may not be your child.
No,
you
what
have
I
to
mean,
establish paternity.
not
you
before.
know, guaranteed from that mother because it came from her. It's a possibility. It may not, or it may be yours. So you got to
obviously,
establish.
I'm talking about somebody who signed a birth
anything,
certificate. I'm talking about somebody who signed a birth certificate.
Yes,
if you signed a birth
certificate.
Now, I don't know about California, but I do know about several. I do know that a lot of southern states, and I know in the Midwest that when a child is born,
baby goes with. If you're not married in Cali, if it's just boyfriend girlfriend, y'all had a baby, the baby goes with the woman.
Yes. Yeah, California.
And if you stop, if y'all had an apartment together and y'all signed a lease together and y'all living together and all that, and it's just you and your baby mama, and she decides to pack up the baby clothes and pack the baby bag and go, if you try to stop her at the door, you're going to prison in California.